And we're live.
That's fantastic.
I love that. It's always great coming live to you guys and getting to talk to you for a little bit. I am your host, Micah Pendleton. Welcome back to Premiere Prep Live, and I am joined by
Shantae Stevens.
Shantae and I have worked together for a good little while now, and I've also hinted about her being on the podcast for a little while. Well, we keep calling it a podcast, but it's not on RTM, or no, the stream. RSS stream.
Okay.
So it's not officially a podcast, so it's technically just a live broadcast to YouTube. But glad to finally have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
Yeah. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we actually, so like I said, we've been working together for a while. You're one of the founding members of Caution Glass with me. And we had actually an interesting meeting, like the way we got to meet each other and start working together and everything like that. I mean, what was it from your original perspective?
Because I can just remember this young guy interviewing me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is cool. It was cool because, it was my first time outside of my background is military. So I'm Navy. And I've never been interviewed for a video production job or anything like that. So it was kind of cool to be, in that element, if you will, and the questions you were asking. And you were excited. Yeah. I don't know if you realize how excited you were, but
I was very excited.
And you're like, she's the one.
Yeah.
And when you say, hey, I'll follow up with you with a different or an additional interview, and you did, I was like, talking to my Nana about it. Yep. And I was like, I think he's going to hire me.
Yeah.
So, on my side, I was, looking forward to getting, into this realm of work. And then when I got there and how excited you were to, show me my desk, just certain things. Yeah. And it was just a good transition from, I guess you could say from military to civilian, because it was my first experience in that. And I had this
little bit of backstory on that, though. What she's talking about is so I was a creative director at TVY at the time, and I was hiring for an open position, and you were one of the applicants, and we were doing all of it virtually.
Right, that's
at the
true.
time.
Yeah,
because it was 2020, right?
21. It was just last summer. It's
2022 right now.
Yeah,
that's right. So it was mid 21, and everything was being done virtually. And funny thing, when you said like your Nana and everything, I don't think I ever told you this. But when I gave you the Zoom call to tell you that you were hired, I right before you hung up, like literally a second and a half, I heard her go like, "You got it! Woo!" And you both like cheered and everything.
That's hilarious.
And the stream just stopped. It was great.
I never knew.
She's excited.
That's funny. Yeah. That's awesome. So there you go. Yeah. I was really excited about it.
Yeah. And after you were hired, it was a matter of a week or two, and you were in the office and stuff. And I was so excited because it's really hard in this industry getting applicants. And it's nothing against anybody. It's just, you get some people who are very eager, but then it's like somebody else comes along and it's somebody who's far better. And you never want to tell somebody, I found somebody better than your work or something like that.
Right.
But then also you find some people who literally just started playing with video and thought it'd be an easy way to get a job.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it's a lot of work.
It is. It is. Because I retired in January of 21. And upon my retirement, I just got into, there's a program out in California where I was, and I was like, I just need to just do some work. I just need to create, to keep beefing up my resume or my, portfolio. Yeah. And that's what I did up until, you interviewed me. So I was glad I was able to have that in my, to keep flowing,
And that's pretty much what got you the job for me. Was like I saw the work that you were doing, and it stood out above the crowd, and it was an easy decision. It was like one of those things, honestly, with some of the applicants I was getting and stuff, I was like, ooh. And there was a few definite, like, pretty decent applicants, and then I saw yours and I'm like, there's my person.
Go. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to tell my Nana that story. That's funny because she was really excited.
Or she can watch it.
Right.
There we go.
I know, right? I'll send this to her. She's still in Senegal right now. So,
oh man.
But yeah.
Yeah, long ways away.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, there's a little bit of our background, and of course, we stepped out and we started Caution Glass together.
Right.
And we've been doing Caution Glass now for 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And it's going pretty. Going pretty good.
Yeah. I'm still on cloud 9.
Oh yeah.
It's one thing to have a hobby while you're working and still trying to, find weekends to let me, dive into this a little bit. Then you got to step away. But to be able to do this full time, you have no idea. I'm sure there's some creatives out there who understand.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I didn't foresee Navy being cut short. And then it's like, I know what I'm good at, what I want to do.
Yeah.
But to be able to have something of your own, if you will, and to be a creator of that. It's just a different ballgame to me. And
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because like all I've ever wanted to do is I say video production, which is true, but I always loved filmmaking and telling stories and everything like that. That's all I've ever wanted to do pretty much forever.
Right.
So the fact when I first got to work in TV, it was like a dream come true. But then now, especially coming into Caution Glass, it's like I have full creative freedom for so much. And we'll get a little bit more into this later with our main talk. But, you know, I get to talk about ideas with clients and there's not so much restriction like there was in television.
Right.
You work in television and there's a lot of restrictions on what you can and can't do and all this kind of stuff. And we're not even talking like FCC stuff. We're talking like just what the station does and doesn't want you to do.
Right.
And the fact that you're making commercials for next to nothing and it shows because local TV commercials suffer.
And the clients are realizing that as well. So when you're able to really be creative, there's a lot more appreciation and trust.
Right. And when you have the clients who are ready to pay, we need to hold some of this.
Yeah, that's fine.
We need to hold some of this conversation.
We're excited.
All right. So we're going to go off into our first subject, which is in the news.
Right. Okay.
So in the news, we've only got 2 things this week. It's pretty light on the news. So the first one is Sony released a new wireless mic system, and this is really cool. I'm not going to do a screenshot because if you guys saw a couple weeks ago, it's kind of hard going between OBS and these screenshots. So Sony released what they're calling the URX P41D. Amazing name. I love that name.
I'm going to have to look into this because honestly, I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just sounds good.
Yeah.
It just sounds good. Like it's long overdue. We need this, you know?
Right. And what's so cool about it is like Panasonic, I know. Jesse, what's the name of their XLR adapter over the camera? You don't know?
I have no idea.
Okay. So basically, though, Panasonic has a 2 XLR input thing that you can put on their mirrorless cameras.
Okay.
And what's so cool about it is typically what lacks from like a mirrorless camera or something like that is really good audio.
Okay.
You know, you've got your 1/8-inch audio jack, but besides that, you don't get XLR and stuff like that unless you're like us and are really cool and shoot on the Blackmagic Pocket.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a full on XLR, which, by the way, we are shooting on the Pocket right now. And this may be the first YouTube broadcast. I don't know. Probably not. But we'll call it that using an anamorphic lens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're shooting.
I feel so
Oh, yes.
privileged.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, yes. The Panasonic one is the DMW XLR1.
Okay.
And it gives you full-on XLR ports. Okay, I can stop talking and hand it to you first. But it gives you full-on XLR ports.
Okay.
Right on top of your mirrorless camera, which again, like I was saying, is like that's what kind of takes up to the next level of being a professional video camera is being able to have good high quality audio inputs. So this one from Sony is really cool to see, but what's different about it is it's wireless.
Right.
So you're able to get a full on wireless mic system. I think it can do up to 2 channels. Yeah, dual channel on camera wireless audio recorder or receiver. So, and I'm sure that this works with most of their Sony wireless mic packs.
Right.
So it's really cool to see, and you can put it right on top. Like here, they've got it on top of the what camera was this? It's basically the FS7 III inside of a video camera body. You don't remember that off the top of your head, do you, Jesse?
No.
Yeah.
He's our tech support, sort of.
Yeah, Jesse's also
Poor Jesse.
He's also a Panasonic guy, and so I'm over here like, what's this Sony thing? He's like, I don't care.
Right.
But yeah, it interfaces directly through the cold shoe mount or the hot shoe mount.
Hot shoe, yeah.
Which is really amazing because then you don't have to do any external wires. You don't have to do anything. And I don't think you probably are pulling power right off the internal battery. So it's a single audio system in there.
Right.
And I've said this for a while. If I were to scratch Blackmagic Design and go directly to a new brand, it probably would be Sony if I was to do just one brand for everything. I've loved shooting Sony.
Okay.
I have the A6300. I love shooting S-Log. And even though I shoot an 8-bit S-Log, it was really good to grade in most experiences, even though it's still 8-bit.
Right.
But I probably would go Sony. I really do like them. But I'm slowly introducing some Panasonics. So I might end up going Panasonic. Because one thing, too, is being Blackmagic, we have the Micro Four Thirds lens mount.
Oh, exactly.
So if I'm going Panasonic, it's the same lens mount and a lot of times the same sensor size and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's kind of a toss-up.
And post-production as well. So that part is what's keeping me
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving Blackmagic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because, I mean, just audio-wise, you've already got a mini XLR right there.
Yeah.
And so I just take my mini XLR adapter to full-size XLR, and I can get a Rode NTG3 on there. I can get my Sennheiser MKE600 on there. You know, I got full high-quality XLR audio right there on my camera.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to leave Blackmagic.
Yeah.
Because on the pocket level, not only the price,
Exactly.
it's $1,300 for the camera body, and once you rig it out, it's still right around the price of a lot of camera body systems, or just the body
Right.
of what you'll get from a lot of mirrorless cameras. But we kind of derailed a little bit. So yes,
all good.
this new audio system from Sony is actually really cool to see.
Okay. I'll get all nerd out one day and look at some YouTube videos and see what people have to say about it.
Oh yeah.
I have those moments.
Speaking of audio, do tell us in the chat how it's sounding, if we're good. Because
Is this a new setup as well? The audio? for you?
No, this is what we've been using.
Okay.
This is what we've been using for all
so.
of them. But we did change out to different mounts, and
Okay.
then last week we actually randomly, we still don't know what happened. The audio just dipped in the middle of the broadcast.
Oh.
But everybody just chime in the live chat, and also ask us your questions in live chat.
Yeah,
We'd love
sure.
to answer
That'd
them
be cool.
live. Okay, so next piece in the news is Ambulance. The new Michael Bay movie is out. Out as of today, I think. So what I mostly what was mostly interesting to me is obviously it's a Michael Bay movie, so he's going to do some very dramatic visual things.
He did.
Yeah. Did you ever see Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that's one you've seen.
I told you I love war movies.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
Have you seen 13 Hours?
Yes.
That's also Michael Bay.
Yeah.
No joke, I watched 13 Hours, and I found out that it was Michael Bay after I watched it, and I went, wait, really?
Yeah, it's totally like night and day for him.
Yeah, he did. He did not do a bunch of his normal stuff.
Right.
The most like crazy Michael Bay type shots is he had a couple of moments where like the main characters, like John Krasinski, is like standing there and he does like a bit of a camera, you know, the Michael Bay camera swoop around him and stuff like that. Some of that was still there, but otherwise it did not feel like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, it didn't.
But this one, Ambulance, what's really interesting is he's doing a lot of FPV drone work.
He is.
And Potato Jet actually has a new video out where he interviewed Michael Bay and the drone
really?
operator. And it looks really, like we watched, Jesse and I watched the video earlier today, but it's a really good video.
Okay.
It's really cool to see. The guy was 19 years old operating their main drones.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And the stuff that they're doing with them,
Yeah.
it is wild.
Wow.
And what's cool though is drones have gotten so good now, they're actually sticking red cinema cameras
Yeah.
on these FPV drones, and they're flying them around like an FPV drone with a cinema camera on
Yeah, I
them.
know.
It's both a testament to drones and the cinema cameras and how
Exactly.
light they've gotten. Could you tell? I think they were using Komodos, weren't
I
they?
think it's Komodo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Komodo obviously is way smaller. It's way lighter than
Lighter.
almost any red that they've done in the past.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
keep
really
looking at
cool.
those.
Really?
I keep looking.
You're looking at a red?
I keep looking at that one. We'll move on to that another time.
All right. We were friends. No. Red is not so bad. It's just, it's kind of like the Yeti movement or any of these other things where people all get onto like this one thing. And it's like, I just can't buy a Yeti because everybody talks about their Yeti cooler.
Right.
You know?
It's true.
But then I get onto things like Blackmagic, and then everybody else gets onto it, and then
That's what happened.
like DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Very
was.
similar to how Jack got you onto Perrier.
Shut up. I like Perrier now. Okay.
Yeah, that didn't happen because of my brother. At all.
No.
It was organic.
It was.
Really?
Yeah, Jack, who was on the podcast
last
last
one, right?
time.
Yeah.
He's a big Perrier nut.
I think I've had it once, and I was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, no.
I'll just keep my spring water.
I like it, especially the flavored stuff. But,
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But anyway, we were talking about the red Komodo.
Yeah.
You keep looking at it?
Yeah. I just look at it.
That's true.
That's it.
It's
for now.
expensive because then
yeah.
is it $6,000?
It's like six grand.
It's like $6,000 at the starting price.
And I'm like, that's not so bad for a red.
And it's true.
It's not. I mean,
It's
but
true
I
again.
know what I can get if I would stick with Blackmagic though.
Exactly.
So
Because you go to the Ursa Mini 4.6K.
exactly.
And it's a full camera system.
Exactly.
For $6,000.
So I would not do that.
Yeah.
Because I know I would. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because we've talked about this, but I think my next camera system is going to be the Ursa Mini 4.6K. I've thought about going to the 12K, but that's way too many pixels. And because when you shoot in RAW, it's a 1-to-1 pixel readout. So if I wanted to shoot 4K, it's going to have to crop in on that sensor.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So the 4.6K, it's a little extra resolution over the pocket. But I'm not having to spend that much more space on my hard drives on storing those files, because you're not going to use 4K.
No, you're not.
I'm not going to take, or 12K.
I understand.
I'm not going to take 12K down to 1080p.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's stupid. Like most of the stuff we deliver still is 1080p.
Exactly.
You know, I'll deliver some stuff in 4K,
Yeah.
but it's still just 1080p pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is in the news. Ambulance definitely looks interesting. The cinematography looks really cool. I'm not much into those kinds of movies, like the heist, everything takes place on an ambulance. Like, I just wanted to show the characters take an entire adventure through an ambulance.
Yeah.
No.
I watched it and I'm like,
yeah, but the cinematography
cool.
looks really
cool. It
cool.
is really cool. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive what they were doing with those drones. Okay, so our main talking point today is presenting your vision. So we normally call the segment Tech Talk, but it's not really tech. But we wanted to talk about this one because we've had several meetings with clients lately, and we're trying to convey an idea that we have to them.
Right.
And what I love about it being able to present our ideas and stuff like that, is it's a moment where you don't have to sit there to yourself going, oh, this will work. Now you actually have to show it to somebody and say this will work. And then you hear the feedback, and sometimes it's really great. And they're like even today we had a pitch to a client and they were like, yeah, we love this. Let's move forward.
And I think what helped us was they were not expecting that script.
They weren't expecting.
So when you put yourself, I guess, a few steps ahead and you present it like, I know what's best for you and this is what I see, and you present it to them in that manner. He was open to it and he loved it.
A little bit of backstory, basically. Well, I was just going to say that we were presenting to a local client who came to us looking for a commercial, and they literally just wanted to talk over ideas. And we had a short 5-minute phone call. Off of that 5-minute phone call, we as a team got together and brainstormed ideas, and then we got a script together. The script was written, we printed it out, and presented it to him, and he wasn't expecting any of that kind of preparation. But go ahead.
But that's what I was going to say, excuse me, was he was not expecting. So when you, I guess, put yourself, like you're not just a partner or working with them, when you're saying, hey, I want to work, you know, as I'm part of your brand. You know, I think when you show that and you take the initiative, they see how serious you are.
Yes.
And I think that's what kind of gravitated him to us and being open to us and asking questions, because he was letting us know, like, you're the professionals.
Yes.
So that made me feel good when he's confident in us and we're confident with their product. And it was a good meeting today.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why we were able to leave, smiling faces and say, we're going to be able to help these guys out. So,
well, and because of our preparation and the fact that we had an idea for their business, and one, we try to understand them. You know, one of our jobs, whether you're in narrative filmmaking or if you're in video production, your job is to be somebody else.
Right.
You're supposed to put your mind in the realm of the viewer, for one, but also in commercial videography, you're supposed to go into the mind of the client.
Right.
What do they see on a daily basis? What does their product mean to them? All those kind of questions you have to ask yourself and present it to them. And when they see that, it gives them more trust to give you things, to give you more leeway to do what you think is going to be better for their brand.
Yeah.
And it's always, it kind of just a side note, it's always nice when you have a client who actually understands that they don't have to be the main person on camera. You know, you can tell them, like, we're making a commercial for you that's going to present your brand well, but it's not going to be you telling us about your beautiful dog.
Right. Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about your dog and that it loves to sit on your chair at work.
It happens.
Have I mentioned that before on the podcast?
I'm not sure.
I feel like I have. I need to probably stop beating a dead horse.
I think it's okay to beat the dead horse on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Because you get it a lot in local commercial work.
Yeah.
They want to show their little dog and they want to show their niece and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that it's a beautiful dog and it's a very sweet niece, but it doesn't sell your brand.
I experienced that. I think my last project at my previous, I had to make sure that the dog was on the floor that we were shooting for.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, this dog is not gonna be still. Like, it's not gonna work. And that happened.
Yeah.
So it was good today to he has a lot of brand awareness. He understands how we can help him with that. And though he knows their product and their services, rather, he understands that we're the ones who are going to be able to help identify what their brand is and to gravitate or help them bring in their clients or what have you. So,
well, and after this whole conversation, what was so awesome is they said, yes, let's make this commercial. And then they said, we're going to be doing a lot more with you.
And we're going to refer you already.
Exactly.
We haven't even seen your work yet for us, but we're going to also tell next door.
Right. And I'm sure they've gone to our website and stuff like that, but they haven't like seen our work for them.
Right.
You know? And that's the thing is it's like when you get to the end of a meeting and they say, I almost it's crazy. You get to the end of the meeting and they say, not only are we going to work with you more, we're going to start referring you.
Right.
That's a pretty good that's a pretty good thing to have happen at the end of a meeting. But you've got to sit there and do your research for the client because like I said, we had a 5-minute phone call, but after that phone call, so like my process. When I get a client asking me for work, I say, absolutely. What kind of time frame are you looking at? What kind of things are you looking for? What is your budget? What is the end goal for this project?
Right.
You know, try to get their take on it. What are they wrapping their head around and stuff like that? And this is for not saying too much. This client is an insurance company. And one of the things that, you know, is very easy to go to for things like insurance, of course, is shock and awe. Scare the viewer into getting insurance. Oh my gosh, that car wreck is so bad. They went to the hospital. Oh, I sure hope they had insurance. Or you can appeal to their better side.
Right.
You know, you have people you need to care about. You have, you know, your own family members that could be in danger one day.
Right.
So talk to it empathetically.
Right.
And that's kind of after our conversation, after we got done with the phone call. It's funny. He never mentioned that in the phone call.
Right.
But me, you, and Jesse all talked about that during a meeting. And we came to the conclusion, we need to not scare people.
Right.
We need to talk empathetically to them.
Yeah.
And so we then wrote the script and went back to them and all this kind of stuff. And when we talked to them, they're like, yeah, we don't want to use scare tactics.
Right.
And it's because we got into their head a little bit and we knew that
we
they
dug
were
around.
We dug around. We went to their website. We got to know who they were before we went and even met them.
Right.
And there's your best resources when talking with clients are their website, their Facebook page, their Instagrams, and I'm not talking personal, I'm talking business. But like getting to know what this company is about, what this business is about, and you can talk to them educated without even having met them before.
Right. I do like how also everyone chimed in. It was like not just one person. It was like his whole team at that location. And I was like, you know, it was a good collaboration, just meeting and just brainstorming and, you know, laying out all the, you know, everything for the foundation to start this production. And he was just excited that we had what we had because he was not expecting it. And when you brought it, I was like, oh, he has a script. And I was like, this is awesome. You know, like it was.
I wrote the script the night before because at like 10 o'clock and I was going to send it in our Discord server, but then I realized it's 10 o'clock.
Right.
You guys are probably falling asleep and the last thing you want to get is a notification
I
about
would
work.
have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
But no, so it bullet points, like what the good process is of presenting your vision is well, first in commercial videography, because there's two different worlds. We're talking about narrative here because obviously like, you know, what started Premiere Prep was the goal of getting into narrative work, but now we're in commercial videography. So the goal of the channel is changing a little bit to commercial videography. But first you want to get a good conversation, whether it's on the phone or in person with the client.
Right.
Ask them, what are your goals? Who are you trying to connect with? Who is your demographic?
Right.
What is the psychographic you're going after? And how can we change your business?
Right.
After that, do your research. Look at their website. Look at their social media outlets. Find out what this business is about. After that, then you start planning.
Right.
Get together with people in like, for instance, we have a great opportunity of it's me, you, Jesse, and we're able to get together and have conversations about like, what do we think as a group is important for this business?
Right.
From there, we can create our plan after it's multiple heads putting it together. I like to say there's nobody smarter than we. Right. You know? And when you have all those heads come together to think about these ideas, then you're able to put together a more educated proposal.
Right.
And then from there, after you have the plan, present.
Check your phone.
I don't know.
Okay, so Jesse's behind the camera. And he just sent me the lyrics to Ice Ice Baby. He said, "Stop collaboration, listen." You could have sang that for us.
I think you also got the wrong thumbnail on the YouTube video, if that makes sense.
Did I?
It says, today's guest, the Duke.
Oh, you know what? I didn't change it out. I have it as the intro. Sorry.
I'm the Duke?
You're the Duke.
All right.
Got a picture of my brother there.
Yeah,
That's
there we
hilarious.
go. So anyway, after you present it to the client and they give you revisions, they will give you revisions. Unlike today. Today was actually abnormal. You know, usually they say, "Oh, we like this, but we want to change this and this."
All right.
A client's revision is not a critique of your work.
Right.
It's a critique of your vision of the company, and you're new there. So it's fine. It's fine if they tell you this is wrong. We want something different. And then from there you'll rewrite and you'll go back to them and everything like that. So it's a very simple process, but you gotta present it confidently.
Right.
Because one of the biggest things you can do to fail is go into a meeting and just say, like for instance, I had a script today. I could just say, "Well, here's the script. You can read it.
Right.
You guys want to go and shoot this commercial?"
Yeah.
That is the worst way. You will not get any business like that.
Yeah.
You'll definitely not get any repeat business like that. They might need you for that one project, but they weren't coming back.
Yeah.
You know.
But you saw how he just kept flowing, meaning like, you know, he was, "Oh, this looks good. I like this a lot. I'm good with this." And then he perceived some other questions to lead up to, "I need more than one.
Yes.
I want to do this more than once." And from
But he
there,
even said something to us about like, "I want you to see a bigger vision than just this."
Yeah. And from there, we're like, okay, you know, we're just okay. And then the client is like, "I know someone else who's gonna need this too."
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay,
Right.
so he already knew what he wanted.
Yes.
And that's another thing as far as a client and their perspective and what we have to be, I guess, or I'm talking for myself, or I'll speak for myself, is, you know, all your clients are not aware of like that brand awareness, meaning what does my brand need versus, all right, this is what everyone else is doing on the market. You know what I'm saying? So I think he already knew what he needed and where he it's just the way he spoke, you know, like he wasn't like, "What do you think?" Or it wasn't anything like second guessing, and he was confident.
Yeah.
So those clients are kind of rare. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, it
it's not
is.
a bad thing, but you know, sometimes, you know, we have to step in and be like, "Well, this is our take. This is what we think is best," you know,
Right.
and to be confident in that language as well. So.
Right. And I think that's a very good point. Like, be confident in your language, but be confident in presenting yourself, obviously. But the big thing is, just because you tell a client you think they're wrong, they might not take it bad.
Right.
One of the hardest things for me early days of doing this was feeling like if I did something the client didn't like, they were going to be upset. And if they specifically tell you don't do that, that's a different subject. But I've often even shied away from giving my own ideas because I'm like, "Oh, well, it seems like the client has something they're doing." But then what you find out, the more and more you do this, is a client wants you to disagree with them. They want you to find something that they're not seeing for their business because they're in it.
Right.
They don't see the outside. They think, "Oh, everybody knows who we are," because they go to work every day at that location.
Yeah.
You know, I always see our logo.
Right.
You know, but not everybody does.
Right.
And so when you present that counter argument and like you come in with something as a fresh new perspective, it needs to be presented lovingly, harshly, if that's a good way to put it. You know, you need to say, "I think you guys are lacking in this. I think you guys need more of this. I think you guys don't have enough of this."
Right.
And just state it emphatically. Don't shy away from saying, you know, like for instance, the opposite of that is just saying, "Oh, you guys are doing great. There's nothing really you guys need to change, but yeah, you need this commercial." Well, if they're doing great, why do they need that commercial?
Right.
Tell them why they're not doing as good as they could be with you.
Right. And
But be genuine.
of course.
Yeah.
And again, it's all in the language. It's all in, like he said before, is researching. You know, that helps you for the next. It's like you're making these preparations. You know, you're not just trying to shoot it from the hip and trying to figure it out as you're there. You know, you take the steps like he did before, or we all came together and we did our research and we discussed it. And here we are presenting a script and they were not expecting it.
Right.
So that I really think that was like something that helped us today.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could have been anything, but I think him seeing that, it kind of helped him visualize.
Oh, yeah.
And to say, this looks good. This is us. And
Go
I think
in
he
with a
mentioned
plan.
that. I think he said, this is us. We're not that scare tactic type of, company. And this is our tone. So we kind of really hit the target where it needed to be.
A little bit of backstory too. I mean, it pretty much, like, our meeting today was pretty much supposed to actually be kind of like an orientation, like brainstorming thing. But we came in with a plan already.
Yeah.
We were like, this is what we want to do.
And you
for
spoke
you guys.
like, this is flexible. We can be flexible. This is just,
That's right.
Yeah. This is something that, we just did for you to see, how you feel about it. So
Yeah. The conversation did start off, yes, with me saying very clearly, this is the game plan, but it's open to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think he was, it's like, when a client is ready, I think that's something that played was a factor, because I mean, I know you guys spoke briefly before, but when we came in and it was just how can I say it? It was just all warm and bubbly, and he was just ready.
Yeah. And
some clients just know when they when their market is needing something, and it was like we were meeting each other. Saying he had his portion, where he in his mind think I need this. I think he told us that we need this. We're getting bigger, we're growing, we're expanding, so we're ready.
Yeah.
So I think we were just able to, how timing sometimes is just not timed properly. It was really timed today.
It was really timed.
Yeah.
Everything seemed in sync, and it was really wonderful the way it went.
And even where times aren't, it's not to be discouraged by that. Again, just start, I guess, in incorporating certain habits of how to present certain things to clients. What's something I need to think about before going in? What could be some questions they may even ask me?
Yeah.
So it's just like everything is not going to be as smooth as it was today. Today was a really smooth, meeting, but even those times where it's not, even take some lessons learned. Like, okay, I didn't speak of this, today. Maybe next time I might bring this up.
Oh, I do that every meeting.
Okay.
Every time we leave a meeting, I'm like, I should have talked more about this.
Yeah.
Or I should have said that differently.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm the biggest person to like beat myself up after I say something like that I think I shouldn't have said.
Right.
I shouldn't have made that joke about his dog. But it's funny because I do mention the dog thing, but I've actually told clients before, I said, your dog is not going to sell your business.
True.
And they'll be like, well, yeah, but he's cute.
Yeah. Okay, that's
cool.
Cute. Yeah.
Cool. Cute
Go
dog.
put it on TikTok somewhere.
Yeah. That little Shih Tzu. So being direct with the client and telling them what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear, I think is a very important thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to wins of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wins of the week. I know we talked about before. Let me think what it was.
Successful shoot.
Oh, yeah. So recently, Caution Glass had their first production with this team.
Yes.
So Jesse, Micah, and myself. And it was a fun shoot. And I'm looking at the post-production, and it looks amazing. And I can't wait for the client to see it. I'm really excited about it. So, again, that was, I think, a good starters for all of us to be in the same space, to create and just maximize on a production. For what we're trying to do is, again, in this area for Dothan and the surrounding cities is, national, but for local. So I think we were hitting it on, where it needs to be for this client. And I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah.
So that's a win for me.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we are really trying to push with Caution Glass. Is there's a lot of local production companies and stuff like that. And it's not like a harsh bash on anybody, but sometimes it feels local. And what we're trying to do is create something that literally could be a nationally syndicated commercial or a nationally syndicated training piece or whatever it ends up being, something that you could see on the big guys pages.
Right.
But doing that at the local level. Yeah, that was a really good shoot. And again, a little bit of backstory. That's my phrase today. A little bit of backstory. But Jesse came on to Caution Glass a matter of month and a half. about a month and a half ago. And so, yeah, this was our first shoot with 3 people and being able to get 3 angles and 3 sets of heads putting ideas together. And I think it was a very successful, end product. And we're almost done with the edit. And I can't wait for the client to see it either.
Yeah. I think he's gonna love it. Actually, I know he is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I think that's a good win of the week. My win of the week is SVGs inside of Fusion. It's a great win.
I'm all about it.
So, I mean, we can both relate, though.
Yeah, we can.
Because obviously we're DaVinci Resolve editors. And like I was talking about with like Yeti and stuff like DaVinci Resolve in filmmaking right now and video production is the new Yeti. Everybody's jumping onto it. Everybody's talking about it. As they should. Yeah, as they should. But I've been saying that for like 6 or 7 years. It's like everybody get onto DaVinci Resolve.
And I've only been on it, I think, less than a year actually.
Yeah.
I was Premiere Pro because I was in Adobe and all that. So yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't gone back since.
I was Lightworks, Premiere Pro. Well, okay, so I was Lightworks, then I was DaVinci Resolve on my personal systems and everything. Then at work, I went to Premiere Pro, and then I switched the whole department over to DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
But yeah, DaVinci Resolve is just one of those things that everybody's getting onto the hype train. But I've used it for a long time. And Fusion, because a lot of people use After Effects for their compositing.
I do.
I know you still prefer After Effects and everything.
Why.
Node-based compositing is very different. Yes.
I'm a recent convert.
Yes, Jesse is a recent convert to DaVinci Resolve.
He is.
We will be taking his confession.
And where are you at with it?
I like it a lot.
Okay.
I still use After Effects though.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, because I could use Fusion.
Yeah.
And it was still like a slow transition for me to get into Fusion. And I'm a lot better now than when I started, of course, because I would still use it, After Effects and then format it or export it. And I still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the commercial I did for Blakely, that's what I used.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is going to work. So,
well, and I get it because, I mean, obviously when you're used to a tool, like NLEs are a lot more similar to each other than compositing software. You go between Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, Lightworks, or Final Cut. They all...
I never used that one.
Final Cut? Yeah. I haven't either, but I've seen a lot of people using it.
Okay.
Which is funny. In the room right now, speaking of different editors and stuff like that, we actually have representation of every platform too, because you're a Windows guy on PC.
I started out Windows.
Yep, you started out Windows?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
But we have a full-time Windows guy here. We have a full-time Mac girl here, and I'm a full-time Linux guy.
Wow.
So we've got representation from all three major platforms. Right. But we're pretty much all using DaVinci Resolve now.
Yeah.
But going between like Motion and After Effects and Fusion and Nuke is a lot harder.
Yeah.
Now between Fusion and Nuke is probably a little bit easier, but node-based compositing is very different. And that's where I had a leg up. I used Blender as my main 2D compositor for a long time.
Okay.
And Blender is also node-based. And so when I jumped into Fusion, it was a little bit of a learning curve because the way Fusion handles nodes is very different. That's one thing too, is nodes are handled different from everybody. But like After Effects, it's all layer-based. It works a lot more like Photoshop. And pretty much everybody knows Photoshop or a derivative, something that's similar to Photoshop. And it also really does make sense. After Effects, on its surface level, makes a lot of sense. You have one layer, and whatever layer's above is on top of that layer.
Yeah.
And like what you're seeing stacked is visually what you're actually seeing.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense, and so I used After Effects a good bit in TV. Like, what was it? Whip linking and stuff like that. Like linking all these layers. And so now you've got all this hidden stuff happening that you don't get to see.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got your layers and that's really easy to see, but then all of a sudden you're linking everything and you've got pre-comps and you've got like multiple tabs open and everything's open within another area and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Wow.
And so for me, After Effects is actually a little foreign just because it works so differently. But for me, I love node-based because I can look at my entire comp and I see where everything links up.
I think with the node-based is I'm trying to think of the color base, the color coding, what is transfer, what was transform, and what is, the 3D. And it's like I have a hard time trying to remember. I guess I'm just not used to it yet. You know?
Yeah.
So just those basics would drive me crazy. So I'm trying to like just get used to what it is. Like, what is this? And I just have to play around and drag it and see, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Basically, I mean, that's what it is, trial and error. But you know, it's coming around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it totally makes sense to me, but I completely understand how it seems foreign to other people because the way nodes link up and everything affects everything is different. Now, one thing that is absolutely on After Effects' side that is way better is like retiming shots and speeding up shots and stuff like that. Mainly because of its basic timeline type functionality. Like it acts a little bit like a timeline within After Effects.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And that works really well within After Effects. It's easy. But within DaVinci Resolve, some of the retiming and placing clips at different points within the comp is a little bit more finicky.
I get it. Yeah.
But anyway, so SVGs within Fusion, what's so awesome about it is you can take an SVG, you can import it into Fusion, and what it does is it automatically converts that SVG to masks and color layers or color nodes. So the entire SVG is baked into that comp. And what's so cool about this is like if you ever make lower thirds and you make a preset for it, this is my specific use case that it especially has become nice because when we were working in TV together, we were using Fusion and we had lower thirds for different people for different shows and stuff we were doing. And every time we drug over our preset, we had to go back into the Fusion comp, and then we had to relink all of our PNGs. Because when you save a .settings file as your lower third, it does not save any of the images.
Right.
And when what it tries to do is relink all the images, but it never works.
Right.
So you have to go in there and replace every node every time. And sometimes we'd have comps that were 4 or 5 images.
Right.
And it's just a hassle.
Yeah.
You know, but what I figured out, and obviously it's probably old news to a lot of people who've used Fusion for a long time, but you can simply import an SVG, and because it converts everything to color or background nodes and mask nodes, everything's baked into that comp. So now all you got to do is just drag that preset onto your timeline. Everything's right there.
Yeah. That's pretty simple.
It's very simple.
Helpful. Yeah.
And also, I can now build a lower third or a graphic. If I'm using all SVGs, I can literally email it because it's like kilobytes practically.
Okay.
I can literally email it to you, for instance, and now you can just drag that onto your timeline and use it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be nice for our workflow and everything like that.
I think so. That's a good thing to have.
Oh yeah. I'm actually thinking now, it's on my mind. I'm trying to make a mental note. Next podcast or broadcast, it's a broadcast, probably ought to do something on project management.
Okay.
And communication for video projects and stuff like that. I think that'd be a really good one.
Yeah, that's nice to go in.
Okay, so moving on. Those are our wins of the week, which we have changed from woes of the week because, for goodness sakes, there's enough woes as there is. Let's talk about our wins.
Yeah. No woes here.
All right. Talking about woes, we'll get into mine in a second. Let's move on to movie suggestions of the week. What's yours?
You guys even know. So we meet on Mondays, and I came in and I think they were speaking about Batman. Sorry, but I think before that, or either after, whichever, I heard Accountant, and I was like, I've never seen that movie, and I've heard it before years ago. And
on the broadcast.
No. It was just during the meeting that we had
gotcha.
that Monday.
Yeah.
And I just heard you guys speaking about movies because I was like, what's going on? And
right.
I think, y'all were just talking about movies, and Batman was one of them. And I was like, I don't watch Batman. And then The Accountant was brought up, and Tenet, whatever. And I was like, Accountant, I keep hearing about the movie. So I finally watched it.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
So I think the day after our meeting, I think Tuesday, I looked at the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks good. And I didn't realize Ben Affleck was in it until then.
Really?
I'm not really a fan of him. But anyway, it was all good. I was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, the trailer is really good. And I was like, I think I'm going to watch this. And I watched it, and it was really awesome. So I told my brother about it. He watched it. Told my mom about it. She watched it. So I got everybody watching The Accountant. So it might be number 1 on Netflix soon.
There you go.
Yeah. It was good. I really, I'm trying to think what I really liked most about that movie. I think it was just how diverse it was. Is that a good word to put it, or way to put it? Is like, when you see the trailer, they illustrate how he was autistic. And then you see the struggles in that. And then you see him becoming an accountant, and then you realize it's the front.
Yeah.
And it was like, it just kept on going. And I was like,
would he technically have been doing gun laundering instead of money laundering? Gun laundering?
I think he did both. No?
Did he do money laundering? I was kind of trying to make a joke. Because instead of being an accountant who launders money.
No. Sorry.
I make a lot of... I tell everybody, my jokes are like spaghetti. I throw them at a wall and see what sticks.
People really throw spaghetti at walls? What's the reason for that?
You haven't known about that?
Wait. Pause.
You
Why are we throwing spaghetti at walls?
You throw a piece of spaghetti at a wall, and you find out if it's been cooked long enough.
That's the way to tell?
That's a way to tell.
Oh, I just had spaghetti 2 nights ago, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
You can throw it at a wall, and if it sticks, I think that means it's done.
I know when it's done before I throw it on the wall, though. So, I don't know.
Because you're over here as an accomplished chef.
Not really. I can cook spaghetti, okay? I just read the time on the box, and I'm good. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, so back to filmmaking.
Yeah, so the accountant.
The accountant.
Yeah.
That's your movie suggestion. No, that's a really good movie. I loved it. Yeah, and again, I love the depth of each character. You get into why he started doing what he was doing, and it's kind of funny because he's one of those guys who's easily taken advantage of by the system, but he still has a heart behind him and knows that certain things are wrong and stuff like that. So he tries to help people. Like it's a really good movie. Jesse has already mentioned it on the broadcast. Now you've mentioned it, so that's 2 times. Now you have to go see The Accountant.
But would you recommend it or no?
Oh, I would recommend it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but we can't have it as a 3-time recommendation.
We'll get another person in this seat, and we'll have them talk about The Accountant.
So since you are re-recommending a movie that Jesse has recommended, I will recommend a movie that Jesse has already recommended, and that is The Batman.
You recommend it?
No, I don't. And that is where it is a little different. We got Chris Temple chiming in. He says The Accountant is a great movie.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, yes, and it really is a good movie. Definitely recommend watching it.
Yeah.
But now movies I do not recommend watching. My movie don't recommendation of the week is The Batman. I finally watched The Batman. My wife and I went and watched it, and I walked out of the movie, and I literally said, well, that was crap. She was pretty upset.
She loved it. So she liked it?
She liked the movie.
Oh, okay.
And she's a big Batman fan, and I'm a big Batman fan, too.
Right.
And, like, the Dark Knight trilogy and the Michael Keaton movies and everything were amazing movies. But The Batman, and Jesse and I have argued this on end now for a while. Yes, and the Duke is chiming in now. He's giving us just
the Duke
faces. That movie had no depth. Or the character. Sorry. Okay, not the movie. Let me take that back. The character had no depth. Bruce Wayne in this movie was a pissed off emo kid who had no care in the world. And it just did not... there is no goal behind what anything he was doing. Okay. Like, I cared very little whether he died. Okay. It's kind of funny. It sounds really wrong. I cared more about the villain. I rooted for the villain in some ways.
Who's the villain in this one?
The Riddler.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because we knew why the Riddler was upset. We knew why he was doing what he was doing. He had kind of consequences if he failed, and he had real clear goal. But Bruce Wayne, he just was like, I'm vengeance, and that's the only thing that you really get from him. And so to be clear, I loved so many aspects about this movie, and this is what Jesse and I know you're giving me the stank face behind the camera, but there's so many things I loved about this movie. Like, for instance, one of the things you mentioned that was really good was you saw Batman be a detective for the first time, really. Okay. He was very smart, and he figured out clues and everything like that. That's kind of what you were saying. And he had to outsmart the Riddler. And it was really well done. And I loved it. And it was something you hadn't really seen from a Batman before. It was a little detective-esque in the whole telling of the movie. But what you also haven't seen is just such a pissed off Batman. Such a like he had no care, no worry. There was no consequences if he failed. Like, nothing about it felt grounded and like I gave a single darn about what he was doing.
What about Ben Affleck's Batman and Batman v Superman?
Okay, now I have not seen the Ben Affleck Batman either. I completely skipped it just because I was like, that movie does not look interesting to me.
You have to see Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman?
Yeah, you want to talk about an angry, pissed off, mean Batman.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, well, maybe I'll see that and say it wasn't the worst, but
Oh, come on.
Chris is chiming in. He says, I hated Batfleck. I've never heard it called Batfleck before. That's pretty good, though.
I know nothing about Batman. I think I saw the very, very original from the 80s or 90s.
Yeah,
Whichever.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wait.
I have no idea.
Wait, so the 80s or 90s. So if you were in the 90s, did you see like the Batman and Robin movie, or what did you watch?
It was the one with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, okay.
What year was that?
No, I like that one.
That's the only one I remember.
Really?
I've seen. Yeah, I haven't seen any others.
That was 80.
Actually, I'm
88?
sorry. I also saw the
89?
one when Jim Carrey was Riddler. So I saw two. Was that the two separate ones?
Okay,
Two different
yeah.
ones? I saw those. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
And that
anything
was,
else, I have no idea.
Val Kilmer,
Okay,
yeah,
I
as
don't know.
Batman.
That's it. That's as
I
far
haven't
as
seen
go.
those either. The ones I've seen have been the Michael Keaton ones. I've seen, which was Jack Nicholson. I've seen the Christopher Nolan ones. Gold. Love those movies. And then I've seen the new one with straight face, boring guy. Robert Pattinson. Which is funny. I actually like Robert Pattinson in Tenet. Have you seen Tenet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Another movie
I know
recommendation.
you. Yeah, I heard him speak
so
of
that's
that
my
too,
recommendation. My recommendation is Tenet. My don't recommendation is the Batman.
He does not recommend.
I do not recommend that movie. But yeah, even his house reflected it. Like it looked more like a medieval dungeon. It didn't look like that. His Batcave is supposed to look like the Batcave. His mansion is supposed to look like a rich guy's mansion.
That's so funny.
Also, he's supposed to be a playboy who went off and then came back and became Batman and all this kind of stuff.
Is that what really happened?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He's a rich kid whose parents died and all this
Right.
kind of stuff. And the comparison between Bruce Wayne and the Riddler was very interesting because the Riddler, I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically he has this whole thing about like Bruce Wayne being a poor kid who lost his parents, but then or being a rich kid who lost his parents, but then he's a poor kid who lived in an orphanage. And there's a whole rant from the Riddler in this moment. And in some ways, I kind of feel like I should recommend it to you just because of the Riddler.
Honestly, I want to see it now.
Yeah, see, I'm not doing a good job.
Isn't that weird? You telling me not to see it or not recommending it?
Oh,
but
that's
I'm
right.
like,
That's right. The orphanage is Wayne Manor. It's even like one of Bruce Wayne's family's like
yeah.
like legacy
Yeah, it's theirs.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But yeah, so I just can't get past the fact that Bruce Wayne was a dry, non-caring character that he could have died at the end of the movie and I wouldn't have been surprised, and I also would have been sad.
All right. Wow. I think I might watch it now over the weekend and just come on Monday and say, hey, it's actually pretty good.
I'm not getting my point across. Okay, now you and Jesse can now like tell me why I'm wrong.
If I show my face and we talk about movies, you'll be like, you haven't seen that? You haven't seen that? There's a lot of
you
movies.
haven't seen Jurassic Park. You haven't seen what was the other? Oh, the Indiana Jones movies.
But again, you'll be surprised at what I have seen.
Oh, I'm sure.
You'll be like, that interests you? Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
You're there asking, and I'll say yes or no. And
is it kind of like an awkward music taste kind of stuff?
No,
Really?
not really.
So you don't listen to Barbie Girl?
No, I don't.
Really? That's one of my favorite jams.
Why?
I'm joking. I am big time
What am I
joking.
missing here?
I am joking. Well, okay. So that was my movie recommendation of the week.
Cool.
The Batman, or don't recommendation, The Batman.
I'm watching anyway.
And your recommendation is The Accountant. So
Yeah,
that's
it is.
2 times for The Accountant. You guys got to go see it. And that's 1 negative, 1 positive. So the Batman is now at 0. 1 positive, 1 negative, 0.
Okay.
Which is what the movie was, a big fat 0.
What are the critics saying? Have you looked into that?
Huh?
The critics, what are they saying? Have you looked into?
The critics are loving it, and I think
Oh,
the
they
audience
are?
score. Okay, so I'm an outlier on this movie actually, because I think the critics have loved it, and I think the general audience scores have
Oh,
been
wow.
really high. I'm like, it was an amazing movie if you just would have given Bruce Wayne a personality, like give the guy even a smile at one point.
All right.
Yeah, 85 on the tomato meter and 88% audience score.
85 on the tomato meter and 88 on the audience score.
Wow.
Yeah, and IMDb is sitting at like I think 8.6 or something like that. So I am definitely an outlier with this movie.
Yeah, I see.
But again, like I said, it's got like everything about the movie was incredible except the center point of the whole movie, Bruce Wayne. You just can't get past the fact that he is a dry, boring person that I literally could have just like whatever if he died. Sorry, but that's my view of the movie.
Wow.
Well,
What do you got? Is anyone saying anything? Has anyone seen it?
Chris has been chiming in. He said he enjoyed it.
Okay.
The Duke is definitely upset about my
Really?
about my
Okay.
viewpoint of the movie.
So you're on your own right now.
Yes, I am on my own.
Wow.
Yeah. So watch it and please side with me so I have at least somebody in the foxhole. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, John.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you for the comments. Definitely love the comments. Keep them coming in future broadcasts, and let's get some live questions and answers happening on the show.
Cool.
But we're trying to do this. Okay, Chris. Okay, Chris just said it's called The Batman, not The Bruce. He is the Batman. All right. Well, I'll take Christopher Nolan's any day over that movie. We'll just leave it there. Okay. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Shantae for being on the show.
Absolutely.
And can't wait to talk more filmmaking, video production, everything in the future. And we're trying to do this about once a week. So definitely keep an eye out on the Premiere Prep Facebook page and on the Premiere Prep Instagram. I tried to give a little bit of a heads up as to when we're going to do these because we are actually people who work. We actually don't have set time that we get to do this because we're not making money yet. But if you want to sponsor this, you can. Just hit me up. Huh?
It's a GVM.
Yeah, GVM needs to sponsor us.
Road.
Road, yeah.
I'm just gonna name some
we need to cover this because that's free promotion.
Yeah, it is.
Perrier.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next time as we go over many more filmmaking and video production subjects. So we will talk to you later.
All right.
I should have had OBS up. Now it's going to be a very awkward transition
I'll
to the
just
end
smell
slate.
the camera until he gets it out of here.
Yeah. So let's try that one more time.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Are we good? I think we're good. Oh, the audio.